If you're familiar with even basic real estate investing knowledge, you've probably heard about something called the 70% rule. In fact, a lot of people sources say, that you should only buy properties if they meet this 70% rule. Well, today I'm going to tell you why I never use the 70% rule. Stay tuned. Hey there, this is Amber. I am a full-time real estate investor. I buy and renovate homes and sell them, otherwise known as house flipping. Thanks for joining me for another episode on our channel. We love to buy houses, give them some love, stage them up and sell them and make homeowners the new stewards of something that they maybe have been trying to find for years. So we love to give new life to old houses, and I'm so glad that you're here joining me. I will also say that we've got a lot of informational videos, before and afters, Q&A sessions. So if you subscribe to the channel, you'll make sure to get each one delivered or notified of each one as soon as they're released. But today we're going to talk about something called the 70% rule. Now, I know one of the challenges I had when I was getting started was there was a lot of information out there. If you look online, if you read books, this was back when people learned how to do things from books, blogs. I don't think YouTube was out back then when I got started, but maybe it was. Anyways, anytime you are looking for information, there's a ton of sources and there's always going to be some differing opinions. But this is one that I tend to see quite often to this day still. So I want to talk about the good and the bad of the 70% rule and why it might be a rule that you need to break. I personally do not use this rule, and I'll share with you at the end of the video why I don't. But when you're trying to gather information and looking to people who have been doing something and been successful at it, it's pretty common to look at maybe some of their recommendations and go, oh yeah, that makes sense. But I will tell you, with the 70% rule, it is so tricky. And depending on what market you're in, if you abide by that 70% rule, you might never find a property that you put an offer in on. And here's why. So the 70% rule works like this. If you find a house that when it's all fixed up will sell for $200,000, take 70% of that $200,000, you get $140,000. But if that house needs $50,000 in repairs, that subtracted from the 140 leaves you with a maximum allowable offer, or MAO, of $90,000. Well, the reality is it's going to be really difficult to find houses, especially in most markets, for a 70% price. Reason being, because most sellers know that the market is strong. Most sellers are looking for something somewhat closer, even if they're willing to sell at a discount. And even a lot of the wholesalers that I know of, who are people who negotiate specifically with motivated sellers, even they're not getting 70% offers accepted the majority of the time. So what if the house is listed for 110? Do you walk away from the deal? Well, you gotta look at it a couple different ways. Should you be making approximately a 30% profit on a $200,000 house? That's $60,000. That's a lot of money. Maybe it's more reasonable to say, if I could get that house for $110,000, then instead of having a $60,000 profit margin, I'd have 40. Is that reasonable for the amount of work that this house needs and the amount of time that it's going to take? The answer is yes. You might be better off putting that offer in for what they're asking. I like to talk about very specific instances where I've had conversations with people, either when I've been speaking in front of investing groups or with students when I've been coaching them, about this idea that you have to hit it out of the park with your profit every single time you flip. The first 6 years that I flipped houses, my primary goal was to not lose any money, and I didn't. But I wasn't trying to make $40,000 to $60,000 on every single deal either, because I was in that learning phase, and because this is something that I was doing as a supplement. If I made $25,000 or $30,000 on a job, I was pretty happy with that. So it's all about your personal preference. It's all about what you're looking for, and it's all about what works for you. So there isn't necessarily one formula that you always need to follow. Now, think about this. People like the 70% rule because it's simple, because it's an easy way for them to determine if a house should have an offer put on it or not. I prefer a much more specialized approach to analyzing whether or not a deal works for you by running the comparable sales for what that house will, to identify what that house will sell for once it's all fixed up. That way you're going to get a much more specific idea of a resale price. It's going to give you a much better idea of the renovations and the status that the house will have to be when it's done, like the condition of it. What do you need to have? Do you need 4 bedrooms or could you go with 3? Do you need to have 3 bathrooms or would 2 be enough? It's going to give you that most complete picture of what you're going to have to do for the renovations. And then also, I want you to analyze what those numbers really look like so you can determine if a $30,000 profit is suitable and works for you, or if it has to be $60,000. It's all up to you. And the beauty of this business is that you get to decide. But what I don't want to happen is that you're so locked into the 70% formula that you let these houses pass you by. Because I've had more than one student come to me and say, I'm using this formula and I'm walking away from houses, but I'm seeing other renovators, other flippers buy them, renovate them and sell them and make a profit. And this is the reason why, because it is not a one size fits all formula. And here's the other part of it. As you go up in price point with your properties, a $500,000 house, if you use this to figure out whether or not you should offer on it or not, you potentially be looking at a $150,000 profit. That's a pretty big profit. I'm sure there's a lot of people who would be completely happy with a third of that if they got to do the project itself, because honestly, $50,000 on one project is almost as much as the median salary is in the United States. Just a thought. So when you're making an offer, make sure you're actually analyzing the numbers for that specific area using comparable sales and historical data, and also make sure that you're planning to do the same type of renovations to achieve that value. So make sure you're digging in, doing your homework, and making your offer accordingly. And hopefully, with the help of a licensed professional, if needed, somebody like a realtor is going to be a really great resource, especially when you're just getting started. I hope this video was helpful for you when it comes to determining why the 70% rule is a rule that may need to be broken when it comes to writing your offers for your flips. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can catch all the new videos coming out where we're talking about all things real estate, renovation, design, and real life. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.